All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mr. McLogan, and this is week number 101, getting ready to cram for those midterm exams. So I did a poll on my channel, and I found out that a lot of you have exams coming up this week as well as next week, and some of you have some not until January, kind of lucky fellows, and so you might have a little bit more time. So I am not into cramming for an exam by any means. I think if you are going to be successful on your upcoming midterm exam, upcoming test, quiz, whatever you ever actually have, the earlier that you can start practicing and preparing and studying, the absolute better or higher likelihood you're going to be of doing well on that exam. But I think it's very important that even if you're caught yourself in this, holy crap, I saw Christy on there, you're sick. Like a lot of times, or things were going on this weekend that you maybe weren't expected, right? Life throws us curveballs. And sometimes it's just reality that we're not as prepared for our exams than we want to be. So that's why I want to make sure that I am available for you guys tonight. And then also to let you guys know that I am doing two more bonus streams. So I'm going to be actually going live tomorrow at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as Tuesday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So where you guys go ahead and submit your questions. Whatever I'm going to get to tonight, I will go ahead and answer those questions. And then if you have more questions, if you have a review you're working on, or whatever may be the case for an upcoming exam, and you have some questions you want me to answer, then go ahead and submit them in there. We're not going to do a little this chit chat that I like to do on these Sunday night live streams. I'm just going to get right into the math and try to answer as many math questions as I possibly can. So if you have some questions you want me to go over, then go ahead and submit them in the link. For those of you that are on the stream, you'll see that in the chat, I have that as a pinned message, but it's also in the description of this live stream. So hopefully that will help. I have some great questions, and I'm hoping that I have some questions for tonight, and I'm hoping that also during these extra live streams, we'll get some more questions that I can help you guys out with your math. So hello, why is this not showing? There we go. All right. There we go. Hey, Sarah, how are you? And Lukish, good to have you on. Oh, I see what you're thinking. Did you have one on? Hey, dude, how's it going? It's going good. Glad to chicken wags. All right. Well, hello, what's up? 365, thank you so much. Lukish, well, best of luck, bud. You got this. And I'm sorry I couldn't do any, live streams, or hopefully maybe I got some questions, help you out, or maybe some of my videos as well. I have this week's next week. Awesome. Well, yeah, definitely let me know where you guys are in there on the chat. I did do that community post, but I want to hear from you guys. And it kind of gives me a dream. What I want to know is anybody had their midterms? I know last year there's like some midterms that were canceled. Where else? Is anybody have their midterms canceled, or does everybody have their exam? Kind of let me know, because it's kind of weird. I always feel like I'm out of the loop, since I'm not like right inside of the classroom. It always, it kind of feels like I have that distance, kind of knowledge as far as how everybody's doing. But again, it's all around the country and all around the world. Every school and every community is kind of going through this educational kind of world like a little differently at different times. So it is kind of interesting that way. Well, thank you, Willem. And yes, Christy, I hope you do get better soon. For on that. Just concepts. I don't think so. Here's the question. I want you to think about this. You can cheat and you can get away with it, right? But I think there's something that is really important question that I want you to really think about, like on the grander scheme of things, right? And I'm not sure if this is the best quote to kind of relay it, but I think there's so if you're whenever you get something, right? I think one of the things that's always important is you should always want to leave something. Like if you borrow something from me, right? You should always want to return that in a better condition. And just think about the world. Like if we always, whatever we took or whatever we touched, we always returned it in a better condition, or whatever we, impacted, we always made sure it was in a better condition than the way that we received it, right? Well, the world would be a much better place, right? If everybody was constantly giving back to them. And I don't know why that quote came into my mind when I read your question, is cheating worth it? But my point, the thing that I'm thinking is if you're going to cheat on one thing, right? And you're going to get away with it, well, then you're going to be like, oh, well, that's acceptable. So let me cheat on something else in different aspects of life. And if we're always going to be cutting the corners, right? This is kind of like the antithesis of what I was just explaining, of putting things in a better position. If you're always going to be looking into cutting corners and to getting the tricks or just getting by, well, it's eventually going to catch up to you. One, it's eventually going to catch up to catch up to you, maybe in a discipline sense. But I also think just in like the grander scheme of like what we're trying to, achieve and getting better and, and understanding and being the best you can possibly be, that's exactly against what I think your general goal should be as, contributing as far as like making everything better, right? And doing the best you can do. So no, I don't think that cheating is worth it. And I think that, I think that a lot of the stuff that we do, I think we've created a dangerous environment where a lot of people feel like that is their only option. And I think that's a really sad part about education. All right. So I know I am going to get into some questions. I'm probably not going to get to the math, probably for the next like 15 minutes, probably. I'll just probably answer whatever question you guys have in the chat. So if you do have questions, not math questions, if you have math questions, then please go ahead and submit them on the link, guys, because it's too hard to answer math questions on the live chat. Once I'm done doing the math that are submitted, then I'll go ahead and, maybe take some questions inside the chat. But if you have a math question, go to the link that is in the chat. Also, if I don't get your question, or you have questions during the week that I'm not able to get to, then please go ahead and check out the Discord, which is also in that description that you guys can go ahead and check out as well. Thank you so much, Christy, for this. I did open up the chat, so I greatly appreciate you being on. All right. Chess console. All right, so let's go and get into this. Alicia, yes, I do. If you go to my playlist, check on that. There is geometric theorems. I have just a ton of videos on there. Hello. Any tips for free calc and AP calculus exam on Tuesday? I just go through all of this is the general advice for everybody. Go through all your tests, your quizzes, everything. Just review all of your notes, create a cheat sheet, everything like that. I think that's great. Khan Academy, I love Khan Academy. I think there's a lot of great effort, work with them. I think it's a great study tool that you guys can use. And they have good videos that I think that are beneficial for people. So, I think it's a great resource for everybody to use to learn math. That just sucks, Chrissy. It really does. I wish I could help you out with that. I think the only thing I can really tell you is when you're sick, your body needs it needs rest. It needs hydration, right? So, I know it's tough because you have so many things you have to do, but I also think that it's really important to try to give your body exactly what it needs. So I wake up really early in the morning. I wake up at 4:30 every day. And sometimes though, if I'm like sick or sometimes if I stayed up late or whatever may be the case, like my body needs more rest, right? So I'll let myself, if I have things I need to do but I know that my body is like needing that extra sleep or that extra tough, then I give it to myself. I don't wake up at 4:30. I let myself sleep for an hour or 2 hours or whatever may be the case. And I think when you're sick, that's what your body needs, right? It's telling you it needs to rejuvenate. So I know it's tough because especially in this time, you have so much, your time is so precious. But I think if you can just try to focus on your body first, that's also going to be very special because, you don't want to be taking your exam feeling totally exhausted and, going on like 2 cylinders, right? So try to take care of yourself as best you can. And then, yeah, it's a struggle. I know it is. Interesting. Very interesting. You got this, Gab. All right. I have my terms. Oh, well, hope you did good, Melanie. Hope you did all right. I do have a couple. It depends on what you're looking for in discrete math. I don't have like a discrete math playlist, but I do, whatever topic you're going, I do have a lot of math, discrete math topics, but that's something I need to go back over as well. Nothing's canceled. Yeah. Well, best of luck, Balajot. I think somehow closer to that. Why do I keep on saying? I'm just going to put it over here so then it's much more aligned. Once I get into my math, then I got to move it over. But Josh says I have my finals this week. Well, best of luck, Joshua. 2 weeks. College, cheating is a no-go. Yes, don't go cheating. All right. Failing me. Okay, I'm getting caught up. I'm trying to get caught up. I don't know how to do multiplication. Well, then you got to practice. Do your additions first. Any tips on continuity? I'm not sure what you mean on tips on continuity. Finding continuity, it's when the graph is continuous. I would just look through a lot of different examples. I think the more different examples you can see and practice and going over them, the better. Do you think pre-calc is harder? I found that CP calc was harder than AP calc AB. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree. I think it all depends on the one, your frame of mind, your teacher, your foundation, and everything like that. I think once you have a good, solid, pre-calculus curriculum or foundation, then that's going to help you with AB, right? But if you don't have a good, algebra 2 curriculum, then pre-calculus can be pretty difficult. I take pre-calc and AB face-to-face. I'm doing good in pre-calc, but I'm struggling in physics, and I want to take AB. I think it'll be fine. Just make sure that that's a lot, right? And I know a lot of students that's a big heavy workload. So I think you'll still be okay. I think a lot of the AP physics is going to help you in the AP calculus, but you might need to go back and review some of those topics before you go into AP calc, just to make sure you have the math foundations. But I mean, a lot of the physics is going to help you as well. I was born in the United States. No, I do not have a PhD, just a bachelor's. I don't know. It's been a long time. Actually, I've never took the Algebra 1 AUC, but it's a long time since I had it. Do you have tips on optimization problems? I mean, it's really the same thing. It's just you're just going to be doing the math. I mean, just trying to break it up. I'm assuming you're dealing with like the word problem, just a standard word problem. Break out the math, take it out, do the math separately, and then just make sure you're always answering the question, right? So, go in there. Polynomial is a sum of monomials. You can't have negative powers or you can't have rational powers. So that's basically going to be a sum of monomials, yeah. Of terms, basically. You can think of those terms without rational or negative powers. I'm doing geometry. I'm doing bad. Is there any tips to get better? Yeah, geometry is tough because, it's so kind of different a lot of times with algebra, algebra 1 or algebra 2. I think the important thing is you got to go through those theorems. Like the theorems, the formulas, the definitions, you should have a booklet of everything that you're learning there and constantly go over that stuff. It's very difficult to remember. You're never going to learn it and you're never going to need to know it in real life. But if you're just doing a traditional geometry class, you need to know that stuff very well. So I would highly, highly recommend writing down, keeping all those and constantly going over them to remember them. And then soon enough, your friends will be like, how'd you know that? How'd you remember that? And you'd be like, oh, I'm just good. Don't worry about it. I think that's all based on, I've heard, I don't remember, but I think I remember most people have an easier time with Calc 3 once Calc 2. Problem solving, difficult. You just got to break it up. You got to know what the question is. You got to take the math, separate the math from the words, and then make sure you're setting up the equation. Make sure you're setting up the equations properly, solve the equations, and then make sure the answer makes sense. Nope. I don't know what I should study for engineering, but I don't know where to start. Talk to your guidance counselor, talk to your parents, talk to your math teachers. They're going to give you the best guidance on where you're at, what your school is, what's your availability, and everything like that. That's good. Well, I'm going to actually have a video coming out this week that's going to talk about the motivation. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. But I think you just to give you one little chunk, break things up in chunks. Don't try to do everything in tonight, like I said, cramming for a test, don't cram for a test, right? That's the reason why I label this. If you guys have, majority of people have their exams this week or next week or after July, start studying now, right? And I know just do something simple, do something small. And just try to get those little successes are going to build on each other. And that's going to be very helpful. So creating that routine is very powerful. And that's what I'd highly recommend you do. I think that's good. Congratulations. That's awesome. All right. Well, I think I got 7 more questions. We'll see how many I get. Yeah. Well, I hope you feel better, Pastor Ben. I know it's tough. Hey, look at that. What's a polynomial function? Although I wonder how old this video is or how good my explanation was. Hey, Lincoln. You got this, Blazar. Is algebra 2 honor difficult? Yeah, I think it can be. I think algebra 2, obviously it's all relative, but a lot of students who can be successful in algebra, would they take algebra 2 honors and they think it's, just because they want that honors distinction. And then they realize that, holy crap, the algebra 2 honors is a different beast than just regular algebra 2. So, obviously, it's all relative. But I think if you're planning to prepare for pre-calculus or calculus, that's a great way to get there, because that's going to give you the rigor that's going to prepare you for those courses. And not to say that you can't be successful in those courses by taking Algebra 2, but I think the Algebra 2 honors is just going to give you more exposure to that. Same kind of, is it really important? No, I don't really memorize the unit circle. I just memorize the first quadrant and then use transformation and then use reflections from there. But I do think you do need to know that first quadrant though, for sure. I mean, the thing with the AP Calculus, besides the Algebra, 2, like, see, the Algebra 2 is going to give, I mean, it depends on how much that Algebra 2 accelerated. I don't know. You're not going to get as much exposure into the trig. You're not going to get as much, into the, a lot of the identities and the law signs, law cosines, all that kind of stuff, which is not actually, you don't really need that as much for the calculus, but I think you can be a lot with the algebra from the Algebra 2 is going to help you out. I think really the main important with pre-calculus or trigonometry is just going to be the access to the trig. And that's going to be, I think, very helpful as far as not only your understanding, but then also just your skill set entering into AP Calculus. But I think it can be done for you to skip pre-calculus for a subset of students. Meaning like a small set of students. I mean, obviously it's preferred for people to have that, not only that not only the access to that time problems, but also just the ability of the problems. Like most pre-calculus courses are going to be more advanced in their problem solving than from an Algebra 2 curriculum, right? So your Algebra 2 Accelerated, I have no idea what that curriculum is, but it might not be as complex as for the problem solving that you will need for the AP Calculus. So definitely something I'd still even ask with your math teacher to see if they something to recommend. But if you're doing really well with that, there are some gaps that you might be able to do maybe in a pre-calculus accelerated as well. How would you show algebraically how f is not g of x? I mean, are you looking for a function? I'm not sure if you're looking for a function where that doesn't work. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Yes, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, there's, if you go, Melanie, I mean, that's a good one. If you can, I can't save that. But yeah, I do have some tips on memorizing the unit circle. If you actually go to the link and post on this, I'll add some tips on the end here as well. All right. Yes, those are all very good to know from that. Oh man, keep on asking about problem solving. So on problem solving, guys, again, you got to underline, remove the math, whatever you can possibly do outside that, and then solve the math, separately. Make sure you're answering your questions. Make sure you're setting up your variables, set up the equations, and then most importantly, I think, is once you've solved, then make sure your answer makes sense. Make sure you're solving for the right values. Any tips on finding the antiderivatives? Yeah, I got to go back through my calculus curriculum to kind of give you some more updated tips for that. So I'll get back through on the calculus. It's been a couple years, and I got to go back through that information or like my instructional kind of framework to give you guys some good tips. That's actually really funny. I was actually I'm not going to call the student out or his name. But I actually saw the student this weekend, and I meant to go and say hi to him. But it was during I did a 5K over the weekend, and he was actually a runner. He was on the cross country and track team, and I saw him at there, and he graduated many years ago. But I meant to go and actually say hi to him, and then I had to take my daughter to the bathroom. By the time I came back, he was gone, and I never saw him again. But he was the best student I ever had. I don't think there was a problem on a test that he ever got wrong. So, I mean, I've had a lot of bright students in all of my classes. But he was the top student I ever had. And of course, I think I had him like my first year I was teaching pre-calculus. So I was definitely overwhelmed because I was like, not like, same kind of thing like when you're talking about my calculus, I'm like, it's just like, if it's not something you're doing constantly day in, day out, like I don't have it on the tip of my tongue, like exactly how I want to explain or approach things. And, he was just sitting there like, I definitely probably should like tore apart some of my explanations. Like, what is this guy talking about? But yeah, I got through the year and definitely obviously got better with my instruction as I did it. Yes, absolutely. For sure. I think relating with students is like extremely important. And that's why I think it's so tough, like to do this like online environment. Like, and that was so tough with me. Like when we were leaving the classroom with the mask, like you need that connection. You need those emotions, you know, to kind of go through the fast, like having the face mask was just, it's a very difficult thing. I think to get that teacher student kind of relationship. All right, what should I do if I'm ahead of my class? How should I study? I think just, you know, keep on going through, try to do more advanced problems. Look at, you know, get extra problems from your teacher. Go look at your book, do more advanced problems, go deeper. I think one of the problems, I have no idea where you're from, but I think one of the problems that I have with our current like curriculum, at least in the United States, is we don't go deep enough for a lot of students. We try to cover surface level problems and just to get through as much stuff as possible. And then students leave at the end of the year and they really don't even know what they're talking about or what they're doing because we never really went deep. We never had time for them to understand what they're doing and to go deep into it. So if you feel like you're ahead of your class, you don't feel like you're being challenged or you're fast, then go deeper into it. Get more deeper questions. Look for more advanced questions, either in the book or from your teacher to help you out with that. But I wouldn't advise going ahead. I would just advise going in deeper. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any websites or anything to recommend, but I just practice, you know, again, just keep on doing some of the basic skills. I think you'll be all right. But, you know, practice those. Just keep on practicing the basic stuff. What would you do if you noticed that a student was struggling to grasp the concept? Well, that happens a lot. And so a couple things I would do is, you know, I'd always try to pull the student ahead, you know, behind, or like once we did individual work, you know, I'd make sure that I would give individual time to them. I'd also, you know, sometimes try to re-explain things in a different way, even when if it was like full class instruction. If I recognize multiple students were not understanding it, then I would just stop how I was explaining it. I'd maybe just try completely like wipe out the way I was explaining, maybe do something completely different. Sometimes, you know, the pace of the lesson wouldn't correspond to that. So what I would have to do is just, you know, say, hey, let's go and meet after class or get some additional, you know, help that way. But, you know, it all kind of depends on the situation, how I would approach that. Yeah, I think you just got to underline those important parts and then take them out and get it from there. And guys, I'm just going to take a couple more questions, probably till like 9:30, and then I'll probably get into the math that we have here. But I mean, I think it's really important to just get the math away from the word problem. If you can get the math away from the word problem, and then typically you're going to be doing the math whatever way, then that's going to be the best. I just want to let you know how healthy. Awesome, Casper. Yeah, I pretty much feel like most people are the same way, Addie, for sure. You got this. You got it. Well, awesome. I am glad to see that AC video. Yeah, the factoring can be tough. So, you know, I'm not really I don't really love a lot of those techniques, like to think, because I think a lot of students like hold on to them. But yeah, hey, if they help you get over a hump, that's good. Algebra 2 is yeah, I can see that. I think once you got, and the thing is like you got that Algebra 2 foundation, and that has helped you though in Calc 1 and Calc 2. So you had to get over that hump, and that's very difficult for a lot of students. So kudos to you for doing that. Cramming is like waiting till the end, to the very last minute to do your work. For geometry, to what extent do I need to understand algebra? Pretty just mostly the basic, you know, linear equations, proportions. Is there anything, systems of equations maybe from in there, but pretty basic stuff. It depends on how, you know, what you're getting into how far you're getting into the geometry, but mostly just solving some equations, you know, linear equations, I think would be fairly good. Maybe some inequalities as well. Like keeps you on there. I already answered this question. How do I prepare for case study questions? I'm not sure about that, especially go through all your tests. It doesn't matter what the math course is, guys. Go through all of your tests, all your quizzes, you know, and just review all the stuff you got right, review all the stuff you got wrong, right? Create a cheat sheet, over all your notes, do it all. Yeah, I can definitely see that. You got this, Detro. How how do you figure out what you want to do? How do you figure out what you want to do in life? Completely not math related, but I'll take it. I think the main thing is you got to try things. And I think that's one of the things that I hate when people are like, oh, when are you going to use this in math? And I'm like, guys, it's not about like, if we just wanted you to all be mathematicians, then we would like, I think it's really important that you are just trying math. Like, and again, like, we've turned math into this course where it's like if you don't feel you're smart or you can be successful if like you don't pass this course, you don't get a great grade, and like that's completely not what taking math is about. It should not be this stressful course that you constantly feel like you have to prove yourself on. Now, obviously, we want our engineers to be really good at math. We want and we need people to be mathematicians, right? And engineers, right? And physicists and computer programmers and everything like that, right? We need people that are strong in mathematics, but it's also important that when you're figuring things out in life, like, having just a decent math background, I think is just important, helping people get a broader scheme of different not only just seeing how the world works and the foundation, but also just trying things. Like you start to see relationships in different fields, right? And I think that's important. Like when you're learning, like even if you want to be an engineer or a computer programmer, like whatever the case, like you should still be trying, like looking at, English and like the arts and everything else. Like the more broad that you can expand your mind, I think that's going to give you a better sense, Kelly, of, what you want to do in your life. And, yes, I wanted to become a math teacher when I was in high school. So, I guess it can probably sound easy to me, but, same thing, like I became a realtor, right? And never in my wildest dream would I ever thought I'd want to be a realtor, right? And I'm a licensed realtor. I've been a realtor for 10 years. So, things change obviously as you go on through life, but I think the more broad, and I've had to do a lot of writing, I've sold my course. So I've had to do a lot of copywriting. Like, even though I never would have thought I would have been copywriting, I write emails every Sunday night to everybody that's on my list, right? So and I never, like, I hate writing, and I'm horrible at it, but I write every single Sunday to everybody that's on my email list, right? So, I think it's important for you to keep on expanding there, and don't feel like you have to understand, you have to know what you're going to do in life, because it's always going to change, and you're always that's kind of a fluid, question. So I would just keep on just trying things, and, eventually some things will stick, and then guess what? Things will change, and then you'll do something else. But I think you got to keep on trying different things. That was a really long answer, but I think hopefully it was good. It depends on the time. I think this is one of the most important things. I got to go back and make my video on that. But yeah, if you don't know how to do a problem, skip it. Go back to, come back to it later. Because again, when you're taking exams, time is of the essence, right? I don't believe on knowing math on a certain time frame, but if you don't know how to do a problem, skip it, come back to it later. Which actually probably makes that's a good tip I should actually go through. Yes, I do. Not a lot, because I never taught a statistics course, but I do have some. Yeah, but again, partial credit's only gonna be worth so much. So I would wait till the end if you have time to go back to it. Same thing like answering questions. I answered this question earlier, but I think the trig is the most important thing from there, and the complexity of the problems. So I would say it definitely is prepared, but there's I think it'd be helpful. Most students that are going to take pre-calculus are going to do better in AB, and especially BC. But yeah, I think it's important. Piecewise functions, just break them up separately, and you got to know it's an equation and restriction. I take pre-calc right now. I'm doing okay. I understand most of the ideas, but I have to come to exams. I feel like I don't have confidence with work. Any advice? Well, I think you got to practice problems. I mean, that's the main thing, like one of the things that I sold, like in my course, which is in the description, but again, like whatever, one of the things I did is, I have a lot of practice. I had my pre-calculus course, like my exams, like a lot of those practice problems. So I think the more examples you can do, like go to your teacher, you have a review, your tests, your quizzes, go over all that stuff again and again and again. And I think the more problems you practice, and this is the same thing for AP Calc, doesn't matter what your course is, go over as many problems as you possibly can to practice. And that's really, really going to set you apart. I think it'd get a new environment. I have a video that's going to come out on Wednesday about this as well. But I think it's an important thing to get in a new environment, get in an environment that's going to be happy, that's going to make you feel good, right? And go from there. Hey, so Brian, I want to tell you that thank you for making those videos about quadratic forms. Well, awesome. So happy to help you out. Wow, same question. That's interesting. Well, very similar. You just got to understand you're going to have multiple variables. So I'm assuming, let's just say it's a two system or two equations. So you're going to need to set up a, an X and Y or A or B, whatever, but you're going to have two variables. So make sure you define your variables and then set up two equations. And then you're going to solve however would be the easiest for the problem, substitution or elimination. Skinny manatee. Man, it's skinny. Why was I going to say man? Skinny manatee. I graduated in 2020 and I got a C in your class. Interesting. Well, DM me on Instagram and I hope you're doing well. I don't know who you are though, skinny manatee. So you're not giving away anything, but yeah, feel free to always DM me on Instagram. I always happy to say hi to former students. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Deadstroke. All right, guys, we got to get to the math or I'm going to be up way too late. Not right now, but eventually I will. I want to get to that. Awesome, David. Yes, if you go ahead and submit it into the link, which is in the description, feel free. Gracie, you got this. Gracie, you got this. Okay. Roblox summit. I got to do, man. I do have my core. I suppose it in there. I totally forgot about the things, but yeah. All right. How do you practice for midterm? If you actually, Wait a minute. I might be able to do. Yeah, I'll go and see if anybody wants to go and join from there. All right. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Do you have practice for the midterm? And yes, I do, but I only have it for pre-calculus at the moment from on there. But it is under a paid course, which I didn't promote this year because I had some family issues come up. So I might be able to put it, I'll go ahead and take a look. Maybe tomorrow I might be able to release that. So for anybody that's taking pre-calculus that might be interested in that, I can let you guys know about that. I'll put something out. Thank you for, well, you're very welcome. All right, locations, awesome. All right, guys, you just got to get over it. You're going to fail. You're going to do bad, right? It's okay. I know it's overwhelming. I know you got a lot going on, but again, it's not the end of the world. Just do your absolute best you can do. And that's all you can really care about. So, I know it's overwhelming, but you just got to put things in context. It's not the end of the world. You can do it. Just do things step by step, break it down. I forget 95, 1 1/3, 81. What I think is important to have to mind. I'm not really sure, as far as dealing with the trigger. I mean, obviously you just got to keep on going back, go and review. Why'd you got those problems wrong, right? Review what you got wrong. Why'd you get them wrong? And then make sure you keep on practicing that, right? All right. Yeah, they can be tough. Ask a question. Probably not. I'm not going to be able to, I'm not covering anything on the calculus just because it's been a while since I taught. So I'd have to go back and remember a lot of things. But if you definitely, again, guys, I'm going to start getting to math questions. If you guys have additional questions, please go ahead and go to the Discord server and ask your questions. As also help out other people. There's people from Algebra 1, pre-algebra, all the way to Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3. So there's a ton of great resources that are in that Discord server. So feel free to ask questions. But again, I always feel like asking questions helps somebody out with their questions, right? I mean, if anything, if my videos, you guys know that feeling. I think majority of you that are on here, that feeling when, you're searching for an answer. You don't know how to do something. You maybe watch my video or somebody else's video and then it makes sense. And then you understand it. It's such a good feeling. So I know a lot of you have great questions, right? But you can also give that feeling to somebody else that's asking questions. And yes, it takes time, right? To sometimes answer a question or help somebody out. But you know what also helps out is you're learning to explain the math that and typing it or, showing your work or whatever may be the case. That's helping you have a better understanding of your own math and your own understanding. And that's going to serve you well for your own courses. So, definitely go and check out the Discord. It's in the link in the description, as well as pinned on this chat for you to do that. I'm so sorry about that, Noah. I know not always you can find another teacher, so go ahead and hopefully you can find another group to go ahead and work on for that. Well, awesome, Brave Soul. So happy to be able to help you out. Yes. The Discord is pinned on the shoulder. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead. I'm going to leave that up just for a thing for other people to go through. I used to have it up in here, but how can you know the word problems when you're confused? Oh, man, there's been so many word problems. You guys are going crazy. Jazza, if you go ahead and actually go and take a look at go and take a look at the chat, and you can go and submit their questions. I got 9 extra questions here. We'll see if I can get to any of these. All right, and how can you read word problems when you are confused? You know, break it down. You just got to look at the, you're trying to look at the word problems, like, and try to understand them, like underline things, right? You know, when you're solving a word problem, you got to identify, you're going to have an equation, right? And you're going to create you're going to have variables. So define the variables and then define what you're trying to find. What are you looking for? You know, what are you trying to solve? Sometimes it's like simple equations. Sometimes it's going to be a multi-step problem, right? So try to extract all that information from there. And I think the thing that's confusing with the word problems is, yeah, you have a lot of words, right? You have a lot of things that you need to dissect. So try to extract all the information that you possibly can from that word problem, and then just focus on doing the math. You know, like obviously if you're doing quadratics, well, then you're probably going to have a quadratic equation, and you're going to have to use some solving or graphing or whatever may be the case to answer the question based on that. But, you know, it's extract, do the math, and then just make sure the math makes sense, or your answer makes sense in the context of the problem. Whew. All right. Well, awesome, Jacob. So happy to help you out. So here's good. I think just practice problem, practice. And also don't cram. All right, guys. So again, you know, as I cram with me, like I have a lot of questions. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I possibly can for you guys. So I am actually going to turn the chat over onto subscribers, just because I am not going to be able to monitor the chat, and even my, oh, it is on. That's so weird. So it is on subscribers. Well, hey, not nerd potato. Thank you so much. Brad, you can go ahead and nth roots. I'm not sure what your question is, but if you have something more direct, then go ahead and use the pinned comment and go ahead and submit on there, and I'll try to do my best to get to there. And then also, guys, I totally forgot. I am going live tomorrow at 5 p.m. as well as on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So whatever questions you guys do have, please make sure you go ahead and submit them into that link. So again, I'll say this because I've been talking for way too long, but if you guys have questions, math questions, I'm not going to be doing chit chat. I'm not going to talk for 40 minutes tomorrow. I'm getting right to the math. 5 o'clock to 5:30. I am just going to be doing math after math after math. So if you're not able to join the live stream, but you have a question, go ahead and submit it into the link, and I will do my best to be able to get to as many math questions as possible. So I am planning on doing that again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go ahead and submit those questions there. You guys can submit screenshots. Let me actually show you guys here. Right. This is exactly what I have going on. These are questions that people have submitted to me. Right. So, so you can go ahead and submit your questions from on there. And then, and yeah, I'll do my best. So I'm going to try to get into some math questions now, guys. If I don't get to your question tomorrow, or tonight, then please go ahead and either use the Discord server, which is also in the description, or go ahead and use, or see me tomorrow, and I'll go from there. All right, let's go and get into some math. You didn't forget. You said, I know. I was thinking I was going to forget though. Yes, everything is going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, but again, I'm not going to get into chit chat, guys. I'm just doing math, as much math as I can possibly do. Jacob, I already did notice you. Good. Yes, you got it. All right, and thank you so much. All right, guys, let's get on with some math. Man, I talked for 40 minutes. Oh, crazy. Okay. I just forget to end those. Sorry about that. All right, so it says write the equation in standard form from the ellipse described. So okay, so we have an ellipse. So we have a vertex. So we're gonna do 1, 2, and again, you know what? I'm actually gonna do this from the framework of rather than trying to like over explain things, I'm gonna kind of do this from the framework of like trying to take an exam, like trying to answer these questions maybe a little bit more directly and quickly, rather than like let me teach you all this like I'm a teacher kind of thing. So if you do have further questions or you want me to elaborate on something, then feel free to add into the chat. So with the equation of the vertex, so we have a foci at 0, 2. So what I like to do is just label it, and negative 0, 2, and negative 4, 2. Wait, where's the vertex? Write the equation for the ellipse. That doesn't make any sense. That'd have to be negative 4, 2, 1, 2. Foci, what? How does that even, vertex, that doesn't make any sense. 1, 2, 0, 2. That's a different, that doesn't, equation of an ellipse. This problem doesn't make any sense. There's something wrong here because the vertex is going to be between the two foci, right? So it's always going to be equal distance. So that distance is going to be C. And it has to be the same. So C to the right, C to the left. So in this example, you have 1, and then you have 1, 2, 3. So something's wrong here with that problem. And then also, I think this has to be, oh, you know what? No, that's something else. I don't know what that is. It's not even a covertice. Oh, maybe that's a vertex. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, that's a vertex. That's a foci. That has to be the center. All right, there we go. Okay, so maybe I crossed it out. So I'm assuming that has to be the center. Okay, so we have a center, foci, and vertice. Gotcha, or vertex. Okay, so where's this? Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay, so the distance from the center to the foci is going to be C, right? So 1, 2, 3. So C is equal to 3, and then the distance from the center to the vertex is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can say A is equal to 5. Okay, now this does have since the foci and the vertex lie in the horizontal axis, then we're going to have a horizontal ellipse. So therefore, that's going to be form of x minus h, quantity squared over a squared, plus y minus k quantity squared over b squared equals 1. All right. Also, we have c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So that's a formula you're going to need to know. So 9 equals 25 minus b squared. So negative 16 equals b squared. So then b is equal to 4. Oh, we don't need that. No, sorry. That's a negative b. So b squared. We just need b squared, right? So b squared equals 16 because that's a negative b squared, right? Don't forget that. Okay, and so we have a squared, we have b squared, and then our vertex is going to be our center. So our center, I'm sorry, not our vertex. So that's going to be a negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be negative 4, comma 1. Okay, so that's going to be your h. So it's going to be a x minus a negative 4, quantity squared over a squared, which is 25. And that's going to be plus a y minus a 1, quantity squared over b squared, which is 16 equals 1. And obviously, guys, we can simplify that to an x plus 4. I hate when that does that. X plus 4 quantity squared over 25 plus a y plus 1 quantity squared over 16 equals 1. And there you go. The center, and again, somebody else did this. So the center is at 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the focus is at 3, negative 1. So 1, 2, 3, negative 1. And the length of the major axis. So the major axis is from vertex to vertex, right? So that's going to be 2a equals 26. So divide by 2, divide by 2. A is equal to 13. So therefore, a squared is equal to 169. In this case, this is going to be centered to focus. So that's going to be C, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So C equals 5. So again, it's an ellipse, right? Actually, I don't know. Let's do, I don't think they said. So let's do the different one. Let's do this a hyperbola. Okay, because the equation is going to be a little bit different. Now, this is a vertical, right? So if it's a vertical, the formula here is going to be y minus k, quantity squared. It's always a squared minus b squared times a x minus h, quantity squared. Actually, never mind. It's a major axis. So we don't call it is a hyperbola. or I'm sorry, an ellipse. So this is going to be the same as the other problem. But now my a squared is going to be under the y instead of under the x. So this is going to be x minus h y squared all over b squared plus a y minus k squared all over a squared is going to equal 1. Okay, and so again, our center here is, that's going to be our h and our k. Okay, that's a 3 and a 4. And then we have a squared and we have b squared. Oh, we don't have b squared. So again, we have c squared equals a squared minus b squared, right? So c squared was what, 25 equals a 169 minus b squared. So subtract 169, subtract 169, and that's going to be a what, 144, negative 144 equals negative b squared, divided by negative 1, right? 91, b squared equals a positive 144. And then, all right, so then I have a, what is this, x minus 3, y squared over b squared, 144, plus a y minus k, so that'd be y minus 1, y minus 4, sorry, all over a squared, which is 169, equals 1. No, this is not physics. Again, guys, if you have any questions, I'm just going through the math. You guys can go ahead and submit them into the link. I'm also going live tomorrow at 5 p.m. and on Tuesday at 5 p.m. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and join me there as well. I don't have a picture, but I cannot figure out how to solve system equations using elimination. So, all right, the main thing is, so when you have a system, right? So if I said like solve 3x plus y equals, let's just say 17, right? If I said solve for y, then you just subtract the 3x, right? 3x minus 3x, right? So y equals negative 3x plus 17. Done. Now, what if I said solve for x, and if I said 3x plus y equals 17, and then I said, well, and let's do a, I don't know, x plus 2y equals 5. And let's say I said, now I want you to solve for x and y, because we have two variables. So I want you to solve for both of them. So the thing is, if you have two equations, you can solve for both variables, right? Here, you can either solve for one variable or the other, right? That's all you can do. You can't solve for both equations. But here we have two equations, so we can solve for both equations here. Now, again, what I think the problem with a lot of students, they realize is like, well, if you add these two equations up, you get a 4x plus 3y equals a 22. You're not anywhere closer to solving an equation, right? Like, this does not make any sense. If you're just randomly adding these two equations up, that's not going to help you up. However, so this does not work, right? Just adding random equations, right? You can see now we have one equation, but again, like, we can't solve for x and for y. They're always going to be an equation with each other, okay? So let's go back to this equation. So that does not work, okay? So no. However, what if I had 3x plus y, and again, I'm completely making up these numbers, and x plus 2y equals 5. Now, what if I added these equations, but I got rid of a variable? So let's say I multiplied this by negative 3. So what's going to happen here is that's going to now give me an equation, now give me a system, sorry, 3y equals 17. That's a minus 3x, let's see, minus a 6y equals a negative 15. Now, let's add the two equations, okay? And now when I add the two equations, you can see here I have a negative 5y equals a positive 2. Now I can solve for y, right? Just divide by negative 5. And you can see y is equal to a 2 over negative 5. Voila. Now again, you need to solve for both equations. So you can take that y and plug it back to the equation. The main thing I want you to understand with elimination is you're trying to add or subtract the two equations to eliminate a variable. All right, because you can't solve for two equations. You can't solve for two variables at the same time, but you can solve for one equation at the same time by doing that, or by going solving for one equation at the end. Graph the following numbers on the complex plane. So, and this is important. So to understand this, you basically just need to understand the complex plane. So forget about the x and y axis. Just think of an x-axis: 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Negative 1, negative 2, whatever. So here's the x-axis, right? Here's a number line. Okay. Now you can kind of think about this as like a lot of people like to convert this or think about this as the y-axis, but I don't want you to think of it as the y-axis. I want you to think about this as the complex axis. Just think about everything horizontally, right? Rather than looking like as, rather than thinking of everything in this like 3D, or two-dimensional world, just think of everything as like the one-dimensional, left and right. And so the complex, though, is going to bring in that second dimension here, but now it's going to be in terms of like I and 2I and negative 3I, okay, and negative I and negative 2I and negative 3I. So it's going to act just like a y-axis, but I don't want you to think about it in that terms, because it gets a little more difficult when we look into how we can relate to this, like with the rotation and going from, multiplying with I and going from on this real number axis. So a lot of the math is very similar to kind of make that connection for you, but I don't want you to think about this as just a y-axis. So in the case, let's just do 2 plus 3i. So do 2, and then that's a positive 3i. I don't know why that's like, yeah, there you go. So this would be a 2 plus 3i right there. So you just go with the x-axis, and then you do the complex axis, and you're done from there. So all these are just going to be the exact same, either one axis or on the other axis. I would just be like right there, right? So go from there. Your head hurts. My head really hurts too. That's what happens when I do so much math. So I currently have to just watch one of your videos about the domain of tan theta, but my calculator is saying that pi over 2 in not on the line. That is correct. Sorry, I can't upload photo. Also, the amplitude on the same maximum values. Okay, so no, so you need to understand the amplitude is the half distance from the max into the min. So let's look at the, actually I did a video on this the other day talking about graphing trig functions fast. And so I think it's important for you to understand what this graph looks like. Okay, so here's the unit circle, right? Somebody's saying, hey, how do you memorize the unit circle? How do you know? Well, a couple of points you need to know on the unit circle. You need to know these points really, really well. 1, 0, 0, 1. Why did I do that? Negative 1, 0, and 0, negative 1. Okay, so tangent, remember, is y over x for any angle, right? So, here's your coordinate points. So think about this. When I have the y coordinate over my x coordinate, if I'm dividing by 0, it's going to be undefined. Well, if we think about this as far as the rotations, right, this angle is pi halves, right? 1 over 0 is undefined. So your teacher is correct. That's why pi halves is undefined. That's why I have an asymptote. And then same thing. If I did negative pi halves, that's also going to be undefined. Okay, and then the tangent graph looks something, like that. And again, it just keeps on repeating. As we keep on going around and around and around on the unit circle, you can see that's going to keep on repeating itself. However, this graph does not have a maximum, nor does it have a minimum, so it doesn't actually have an amplitude. Just saw your tank. Gracie, there is a link in the Discord server that you are in this chat that I pinned that has a link to the Discord. All right. I think this student was asking about factoring, so I'm just going to do this one just real quick. So nobody wants to factor. Guys, nobody wants to factor with this, okay? So what I would recommend doing is I would factor out a 1/2. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways you could do it. If you just need to factor, I can't remember if the student said to solve by factoring, I think was the question. So if you multiply a number, so kind of going back to this, the reason why I could multiply by -3, because when you multiply by -3, that's not going to be changing your solution. All you're doing is, you're just multiplying by a scalar for your x and y's, but it's not going to change the solutions to x and y. The same thing is going to happen here. If I multiplied everything by 2, I'm not going to change the solution. Okay, so if I multiplied everything by 2, this x squared plus a 9x over 2 minus a 5/2, right? If I multiplied everything by 2, then I would just have a 2x squared plus a 9x minus 5 equals 0, right? Because you'd have to multiply, everything by 2, right? So if you multiply everything by 2, though, you're just going to get to there, and then hopefully now you can go ahead and factor that out. Another way to look at this is you could also rewrite this x squared plus you can rewrite the dividing by 2 as a 1/2 times 9x minus a 1/2 times 5 equals 0. Now you can factor out the 1/2. Now you might say, well, Mr. McLogan, how do I factor out a 1/2 from x squared? Well, again, think about dividing by 1/2 is the same thing, or factoring out is like the same thing as dividing by 1/2. So what you do is just multiply by a reciprocal. So x squared divided by 1/2 is the same thing as a 2x. So again, we have our 2x is going to equal, so if you factor out the 1/2, and you'd have a 2x squared, let's see what, plus a 9x and minus 5. All right, so again, the scalar doesn't matter, right? You can multiply by 2 on both sides, whatever, but let's go and factor this. So we could use the AC method if you wanted to. I don't really want to use the AC method. I just want to kind of look at this. I know that this can be broken down into a product of two binomials. And let's see, so the other one's going to be x. All right, we know we have 5. So I know that 2 times 5 is going to be 10, and then x times 1 would be 1, so that would work out. So, and I want that to be positive, so I'm going to use a positive 5 here and a negative 1. All right, and again, you can just double check my work. That's 2x squared, right? That's negative 5. And then check the inner, that's negative x, and that's going to be 10x. Well, negative x plus 10x is 9x. So I'd have a 1/2 times a 2x minus 1 times an x plus 5 equals 0. Now I can just use the zero product property. And again, what that's going to do then is you could say 2x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals positive 1/2, and x plus 5 equals 0, and x equals 5. Do you guys see how the 1/2 doesn't change the answer? Because this is multiplied, right? If you want to put a 1/2 there, that's fine. You're going to multiply by 2 anyways. You're going to get rid of this. That is just a scalar. That does not change the answer at all. You can multiply by 100 if you wanted to. It's not going to change the answer, okay? So you can see these answers, and that's the same idea with elimination as well. Any other questions you guys do have? Again, I am going to be going live tomorrow, Monday, as well as Tuesday at 5 p.m. So if you guys have questions, feel free to submit there. And I'll answer a lot more questions there. All right, question number 2, given the following information, determine if the equation or determine the quadratic relation. Okay, so we have the vertex, so that's going to be your h and your k. So what I would do is vertex form. So y equals a times x minus h, quantity squared plus k. Okay, so if it's compressed, okay, compressed by a factor of 1/2. So that's going to be with your a. It opens up, so that means a is going to be greater than 0. A is equal to a 1/2, or the absolute value of a is going to be 1/2, and the vertex, that's your hk. So y equals 1/2 times x minus 4, quantity squared, plus 2. Divide using your method of choice. What do you guys want to do? Long division, synthetic division? Let's do synthetic division. Okay, so really just raising to the negative exponent is the same thing as 2x plus 1. All right, so therefore 2x plus 1 equals 0, so x equals a negative 1/2. Do we have any place values? Nope, we're good. So we have a 6, negative 3, 11. Bring down the 6, that's the first thing. Then multiply on diagonals, add on the verticals. So 6 times negative 1/2 is going to be a negative 3. It's going to be negative 9. Negative 9 times negative 1/2 is going to be positive 9/2. Did I do that right? Are we trying to get something that bad? I guess so. 6 times negative 1/2, right? That's a negative 3. Oh, that's a negative 6, idiot. Okay. Did anybody call me out? Did anybody catch it? Anybody catch it? Let's see. No, I'm not seeing anybody caught it. All right. Brady, well, I'm here for questions for sure. All right. See, I'm here for whatever question you guys got. You guys can go and submit them on the Discord, or feel free to submit them. Go over to me. I'll try to do my best. I don't know how many questions I'm going to get to. Anyways, that's going to be negative 6. And negative 6 times 1/2 is going to be a positive 3. And that's going to be a 14. Okay, so that's going to be remainder, constant, and coefficient relating term. So that's going to be a 6x squared minus 6. And then that's going to be a plus a 14 all over a 2x plus 1. But again, guys, that doesn't make sense. If you were to divide this, you'd have 3. So I'm actually, oh, sorry, not before the 14. Hold on. So what you're going to want to do is divide all of those by a 2. And because that's basically, when you think about this, if we were to do this as long division, 2x plus 1 divides into a 6. Sorry, I know it's getting off the screen. Into a 6x squared, right? You'd have a 3x as your first term, right? So we need to divide everything by 2. And that's going to give me a 3x minus a 3. And then we'll have a, oh, sorry, what am I doing? Yeah, that's fine. And then we'll do a plus a 7 over my remainder, which is a 2x plus 1. Question number 20, solve the following equations in the interval 0 to 2 pi. And I think the student was having trouble with the using these. The student was having trouble with these. So again, all of this restriction is just on the unit circle, right? So if you think about this, we're just doing 0 to 2 pi. So we're just going to look at answers that are just on there, no extra revolutions or no negative angles, right? So the angle has to be here, start here, and then go to there. So let's just, let's look at the first one. Cosine of x equals negative 3 halves. Well, what angles is cosine equal to a negative 3 halves? Well, that's only going to be true here is cosine. So what angles is negative 3 over 2? So that's going to be here and there, right? That's going to be A. So what are those angles? Well, that's going to be, so on interval, I'm not sure not really using interval notation, but you can use set notation here. So it's going to be a 5 pi over 6 and a 7 pi over 6. Okay. And then same thing over here. Let's just do one of these. So if I did a 4 sine of x, sine squared of x equals 3. So you divide by 4, sine squared of x equals a 3/4, square root, sine of x equals a plus or minus the square root of 3 over 2. So now we're dealing with sine. And sine is going to equal that is there, and there, right? That's going to be all the positive. Sine is positive up here, first and second quadrant, and then negative here. So those angles are going to be set notation, pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3, 4 pi over 3, and 5 pi over 3. Okay. Ooh, Derek was asking. These are what people submit. So again, guys, if you have questions, you can go ahead and submit them in the chat, in the link of this live chat, and also in the description of this. You guys can go ahead and submit your questions, and that's where I'm getting all these. So people have uploaded these questions to me. Just a reminder, guys, I am also going live tomorrow at 5 p.m. and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys have questions you'd like me to answer, feel free to add them there. You guys can also go ahead and join the Discord server and get questions or help other people out with their exam as well. Question number 12, solve the equation, find the exact value. Okay, so typically we want to use the one-to-one property if we can, or have logarithms the same base. In this case, that's not the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ln of both sides. So I have 4 to the 2x minus 3 equals ln, and again, that's going to be base e of 3 to the x plus 2. The cool thing though is I can now bring this ahead. So 2x minus 3 times the ln of 4 equals a x plus 2 times the ln of 3. Now I can distribute those. So it's going to be a 2x ln of 4 minus a 3 ln of 4 equals a x ln of 3 plus a 2 ln of 3. And now if I need to solve for x, I need to get the x's to the same side. So I can rewrite this as a 2x ln of 4. I'll subtract that minus an x ln of 3, add that over, equals a 2 ln of 3 plus a 3 ln of 4. Well, now I need to solve for 1x, right? I have two of them, so I can factor out the x. That's going to give me a 2x ln of 4 minus a ln of 3 equals a 2 ln of 3 plus a 3 ln of 4, and then you can just divide ln of 4 minus ln of 3. 2x ln of 4 minus ln of 3. So x equals that. Please let me copy. Yes. Sweet. Voila. All right. So this one says, if sure about the process, I need to take this. So again, so we have cosine of x times the sine of x minus the sine of x equals 0. What I would do is you're going to want to set this kind of like our factoring, solving factoring. You're going to want to set up for this case, you're going to want to create a product equal to 0. So I'm going to factor out a sine of x. That's going to leave me with a cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, now I can say sine of x equals 0 and the cosine of x minus 1 is equal to 0. So again, we're going to go back to, let's go ahead and find all the solutions in this case. So what we're going to do is we're going to find all the solutions just on the unit circle first, and then we're going to add our multipliers. So sine of x equals 0. So remember, sine of x, oh wow, damn. Sine represents the y coordinate, right? And cosine represents the x coordinate. So when is sine equal to 0? Well, sine is going to equal to 0. Let's see, that's going to be, the y coordinate is going to be at 0 and at pi. And I think the other answer is, when is cosine going to equal 1? So that's the x coordinate. Well, that's going to only be at 1. Again, guys, still getting a lot of questions coming through. If you have questions, please feel free to go ahead and submit those, guys, in those questions with me on the in the Discord that is pinned on here, or you can definitely, I only have a couple more questions, then I'll get to you guys as well. But yeah, like I say, like the trig identities, like post those on that Google form and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Again, I'm going live tomorrow at 5 p.m. and Eastern Standard Time, and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good luck, Derek. All right. Yeah. So cosine equals 1. So that's going to be, so sine is equal to 0 at, so on 0 to 2 pi, that's going to be at 0 and pi. Okay. When cosine of x is equal to 1, that's going to be at just 0. Okay. Now, if I want to find all the solutions here, I basically have solutions between here and here, right? So here to here. So if I keep on adding pi, then I'm always going to have a solution. So I can say x equals pi n, right? Because all multiples of pi are always going to give me a solution. All right, and solve for x given the equation log base x. All right, so let's rewrite this. So I have log base x of 8 equals a -1/2. Okay, so typically when we have a logarithm equation, it's going to be easiest to understand this in exponential form. So x to the -1/2 is equal to 8. Well, or again, it's also important when we have negative exponents to rewrite those as positive exponents. So we can rewrite that as the, we can also write rational powers as radicals. So I could rewrite this as 1 over, so 1/2 is the same thing as the square root. So I could rewrite this as a 1 over positive x squared, because it's put in the denominator, equals an 8. All right, so then if you multiply it by square root of x on both sides, I'd have 1 equals 8 times the square root of x, divide by 8, divide by 8. 1/8 equals the square root of x. Square that, and I get 1 over 64 equals x, which is answer C. All right, cool. All right, guys, I'm going to take a couple questions from you guys on here, and then I don't know if we're going to get to any of these questions, guys. There's a lot of questions that you guys submitted. So I'll go and take any questions that you guys have, because I've been answering questions. So again, I will, I'm going to be going live on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm just going to get right through the math. So a couple things. So Miguel, yeah, I'm not answering many, no, I'm not taking any like calculus or above, just because I haven't taught it in a while. So it's been kind of way too long for me for my explanations to kind of be on point. So I'm just going to kind of wait on those. And no, I'm not a genius. You can see I'm not even taking anything higher than calculus or even a calculus above, just because I haven't taught it in so many years. And it's been a while since I've been doing that math, that it takes me a little while to, I want to make sure I have my explanations are going to be on point. No, I do not. Like watching stream, have issues with motivation, and they get me in the mood to study. Well, good. I'm glad that actually helps out. Awesome. Congrats. Yes, guys, if you have trig identity questions, please go ahead and submit them into the Google form, and I'll be more than happy to go and get those for you guys. Please go ahead and submit them in there. Can you explain how to find what quadrant the coordinate is in? So again, I don't want to be doing math questions or like math problems, but if you have like a general question like this one, then I'm more than happy to kind of like explain right now. But if you have anything like mathematical, then please go ahead and use the Google form that is in the description or on the chat, or go ahead and reach out to the Discord server. So can you explain, I'm going to move this over, just answer a couple questions. Can you explain how to find what quadrant the coordinate is in by using one trigonometric value to find the rest? If you're given secant theta equals square root of 3. No, you're going to need another restriction. So secant, if it's equal to square root of 3, then it's going to be, All right, can you explain how to find the quadrant the coordinate is in by using one trigonometric value and to find the rest? Yeah, I think you're gonna need at least one more restriction, because if you're gonna look at the triangle, secant is gonna be hypotenuse over adjacent, right? So if that's positive, that's gonna be in the first and the fourth quadrant. So you're gonna need one more piece of information to identify where it is. Western Michigan University. Thank you. Brady, go ahead and submit that in the Google. That's a little too much for on here. Cool. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions. Yeah, definitely. I want to keep on continuing in my calculus, and I have a ton of calculus videos. I mean, a ton, hundreds of calculus videos on my channel. So I can definitely probably answer a whole bunch in there. But yeah, just as far as like on the live stream, it's just I just got to go back through, and I want to go back through the calculus curriculum, which obviously takes a lot of time as well. How can I stop hating math? I just started liking it. Well, you just got to keep on going. The more math you learn, I think the more you'll enjoy and like. At least that's been my experience. So you got to factor. So I told you, you did ask that question before, and I did submit it. So I'm actually going to do that for you, because even though I told you to write it, I'm not going to be able to look into all these responses right now. So all you got to do, there's two different ways, and I'm actually going to show two different ways for you. So let's say, 2x squared plus 6x plus 1. Actually, I'm not going to show you. Yeah, let's show you two different ways. So tell me which one you guys like better. Or maybe tell me which way your teacher tells you. Because I taught it one way. I think it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to write it in vertex form, or if you're trying to solve the equation. Okay. So if you are trying to solve, I would prefer this way. If you're just trying to write it in vertex form, I would prefer number 2. But you guys tell me. So if you're trying to solve, what I would do is you got to get rid of that number. So this would be y over 2 equals a x squared plus 3x plus 1/2. Then you're going to take your b divided by 2, right, and square it. So we have a y over 2 equals, let's say x squared. So this is going to be plus a 3 divided by 2 squared, which is going to be a 9/4 x plus, what am I doing? No, what am I doing? That's going to be a 3x plus a 9/4. That's my quadratic, plus a 1/2 and minus a 9/4. And so therefore then I still have a y over 2 equals, this can be factored down into a x plus 3 over 2. Quantity squared, you can multiply here by a 2 over 2. So that'd be a 4, so that'd be 2, so that'd be a negative 7/4. And then you just multiply the 2 back at the end. Oh, well, it depends on if you're solving or you just, you got to make sure you multiply everything by a 2, right? On both sides. So therefore you'd have a y equals a 2 times a x plus 3/2 quantity squared minus 7/2. Hopefully I did that right. Restriction. All right, Paulito, I'll get to that in a second. And then from this one, I'm just going to put it on there so I remember. So on this one, the other way, which if you're solving it, I'd like that one, but you could also just factor out the 2 out of the first two terms, x plus 3x plus 1. Then you can complete the square, y equals 2 times x squared plus 3x plus a 9/4. Oh crap, I'm running out of space. No. And then you're going to have plus 1, and then you're going to minus a 9/4. But again, you multiply by 2, so you need to multiply this one by 2. So then if we have y equals a 2, that's times a x plus 3/2, quantity squared, and then that's going to be plus 1 minus a 7/2. And that's not right. What's not going on? That's a plus 1. Somebody checking my thing? Definitely like using a whiteboard. Gotta get that. Crap. Why am I making... Oh, did I not multiply both those by 2? Is that what I made my mistake? I think I did. No, I subtracted those. Minus a 7/2 minus 1. I made a mistake somewhere. Crap. Guys, I don't have time for this. And then I got to 7 fourths, 7 halves. Right? Minus 1 half, minus 7 fourths. Divide by 2. Plus 1. Factor out the 2. 3 divided by 2. That's a 9 fourths. No, yeah. Add, subtract. Crap. I'm going to have to leave it here. I'll have to come back to that. But again, that's the process. If that one... Oh, no, I can't leave it like that. Can I submit a picture of my math problem? No. Great. Yes, you just go ahead and submit it to the question. Does anybody see my mistake? Now it's like bothering me. In my brain, I've been doing math for way too long. This is what happens when you do math problems for an hour and a half. It's like taking an exam for you guys. Why is I can't find my mistake? Somebody please help me. Oh, you guys can't even see. Why didn't nobody says anything? You guys probably did. Sorry. Is it just my screen? I don't see it. No, there it is. Sorry, guys. I always do that. I don't always do that, but a lot of times, sometimes I do. All right. So that's my mistake. I have cell number 1. I have number 2, and I forgot to switch over my screen. So sorry about that. Thank you, Joshua. Yeah, I was looking at my other one that's like delayed. So sorry, guys. I got to look at the ones where I can display yours is like delayed. So I wasn't refreshing theirs. All right. Does anybody see my mistake? I'm like losing my mind. We did it. LOL. Yes, I know. Thank you. Apologies for that, guys. I always forget that I get in. So divided by 2, that becomes 1 half. And then b divided by 2, that, and then subtract. And then you can subtract those 2. That becomes a 2 over 2, which is 4. So it's a negative 7 halves. When you multiply by 2, is a negative 7 halves. Oh, wait, no. But I feel like that's second halves. All right. Okay. You guys can just make funny. All right. I get it. Apologies. I was looking. So you guys got to see my screen. I have 2 different chats. So I have the same one and the old one. All right. So I apologize. I am still trying to figure out why I didn't make a mistake because I'm not getting the same answer. So now I got to figure out where I'm x plus 3 halves. And that'd be a 2 over 2 minus 7 halves. That's not getting right. Something's wrong. One of these is wrong. I don't know which one. So anyways, if anybody else wants to work out that problem and then come back to me, I'll be looking into the chat and let me know. I'm going there. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. I'm not going to switch over. I'll leave this up there if anybody can find my mistake. It's either in 1 or 2. I don't know which one it is. One of them's wrong. So I did something wrong somewhere. So if anybody sees it, let me know. So I'm going to leave that up there. I'll just answer some of the questions. Oh yeah, Paulito, you had your question. What was that? So your question was like the square root of, so the secant is, so again, like, I think your question was like quadrants, right? So you had like what? Secant of theta equals the square root of 3, and tangent of theta, I can't remember what it was. Tangent of theta was like one or the other. Tangent less than 0. Okay. So again, you got to remember secant, right, is going to be r over x, right? So that's r over x. You can see that's square root of 3 over 1. All right. And tangent of theta is going to be less than 0. Well, remember tangent of theta is going to be y over x. So if these are going to be, one of these is negative, right? They can't both be negative, right? Negative over negative is positive, and a positive over positive is positive. So one of these has to be negative. So the only 2 quadrants where tangent is negative is going to be in the second and the fourth quadrant. So if secant is positive, right? If this is your, square root of 3, or that's going to be radius, your r over your x over r, Adjacent or hypotenuse. Yeah. So that's going to be your hypotenuse over 1. But again, if secant's going to be positive, then it has to be in this first quadrant, right? So because the 1 is positive there we go. 1 is positive. So therefore it's going to be in quadrant 4. Because if it was in the quadrant 2, the x coordinate would be negative, right? So secant would be negative. So hopefully that was helped out. Yeah, trigonometry can be tough, guys. You're just going to have to practice. Hopefully you guys can submit some of those questions into me for around there. All right, does anybody find my mistake yet? Anybody? Surface area, just know the formula. Just plug and chug from on there. Well, if math is so fun, then find my mistakes. I don't know where I went through. And for example, sine equals y over r. Yes, cosine x over r. Correct. So r, cosine x over r, so secant is going to be r over x, right? It's just the reciprocal. Awesome. That's such a good feeling. All right, so 25. Oh, we got 25 questions. All right, guys. That's a lot of questions to do. And I'm not going to get to them tonight. So, holy crap. No way. Awesome. So you guys get some things. Okay, guys. Send a trig at any. Awesome, guys. It's going to take me forever to even go through those questions. So all I can promise you guys, I will be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to go ahead and submit them there. I will do my absolute best. And hopefully that will help you guys out. Wish you guys the best of luck. I'm so sorry I'm not able to get to everybody's questions, but hopefully this was helpful for you. And please go and submit the questions. And again, guys, if I'm not able to get your questions, go on Discord. Help somebody else with their math. Ask questions on Discord. Discord is an amazing community. That I am only one person. I can only answer so many questions. I can only get to, so many questions on a live stream. So please go ahead and utilize the people on Discord to help each other out, help you, and also help others with their math. So again, thank you guys for on that. And I hope you guys have a great night as well as a good week. If you are taking an exam, best of luck. You got this.